Okay, now part 2 of the video. So here we were talking about the approaches to learning skills, and I have presented to you the template. So here if I can look at it for the objective strand, we will look at our rubrics. So you can use the ones that I've shared last time, or else you can just select one strand. So for instance, if I would use, there are many possibilities here. If I would choose the strand C5, organize information using a logical structure, then I could put it here. So this would be C5. We want the students to be able to organize information using a logical structure. And then the approaches, the approaches to learning skills are in the MYP from principles into practice on the appendix. So if I go to, let's say, the communication skills, you'll see that there are many skills which are clearly related to mathematics, especially in communication. For instance, understand and use mathematical notation is pretty obvious that we will use it, but here perhaps I can use this one, which is organizing big information logically. Of course, that is like the really obvious choice, but still I can use that skill. But this is the skill, the specific skill, but I have it in, if you look a little bit further here, communication. On top would be the skill category. So often we start by stating that. And then we have the skill clusters, which is here, communication skills, but you'll see different things when you go in the, let's say, the self-management skills. There are 3 skill clusters: the organization skills, the affective skills, and the reflection skills. Same thing here with research and so on. So and the thinking skills are also split in 3, with the critical thinking skills, the creative skills, and the transfer skills. So you'll see that as well at the end. So skill category, skill clusters, specific skills. So you like choosing one dot. Even here, test generalization conclusions. Draw conclusions generalizations. We can see it in criterion B, of course. Okay, so we will think about activities in order for us to be able to explain to our students how to do that. So here, that information, just explicit learning experience is something which could be done in other subjects. Actually, we can use mathematical context, but we might try to say, how do we organize information logically? So it can be done either using mathematics or not, but we can, for instance, I'm going to give you two examples. I could use a story and cut it in many pieces, and then I ask the students to, as we do with young children, to reconstruct the story, to use all these steps and to put it in a logical way. We can do it also then, and then they see, well, of course, when we do that with young kids. So we have a story, so it starts with, you see the beginning, the middle, the end, and things have to follow logically. So this is something that we can do, but we could also just use, here's the mathematical problems, here is a solution, and perhaps, let's say there are 7 steps, and you cut, you use page, you cut it in 7, and then you mix them up, and then you ask the students to try to tell us like in which order the steps should be given, and then they realize that we cannot, let's say, do the area of a cylinder if we do not calculate first, let's say, the area of the circle. So, there is a logic to our reasoning. So when we communicate, we can show it to them. And then the implicit learning experience, we will ask the students to do it by themselves in mathematics, but we will provide feedback. So what we might remember is that when you do implicit learning, an implicit learning activity, we want the students to do it, to apply what they have learned, and we want to provide them with feedback in order to verify if they have understood and developed the skills, and if they did not, then we can help them until they develop the skill. So that is the information, the basic idea here. So we can do it in the template, and you can post it in it. What you do then, if I go here, when you want to attach a file, you just have to click on reply, and once again click on the advanced button, and then the template can be drag and dropped here, for instance, or you can select the file in order to be able to attach it to your post. Else, you can also do it directly in the unit plan. So here, for instance, my skill category is here. I have to copy it, paste it. It should work. I don't know why it doesn't work. Oh, I'm in Word. I'm sorry. So communication skill cluster, then you go communication skills, and so on. Okay. I'm not exactly done with that. I know I'm not pretty fast this morning. And here, the sentence that we want you to develop is, well, actually, the specific skill is here, organize and pick information logically. And I will write it right here. You see the skill indicator? So I put it here. So I can build a sentence linking the strand, the mathematic Rubik strand, to the specific skill that we want to develop. So here is my skill, and here would be my strand that I have chosen. So I can copy paste it here. Often I write what it is, like parentheses. So in order to organize information using a logical structure, which would be the mathematical strand from my Rubik, students must, and then I would put organize and depict information logically. So even if it seems pretty obvious, it's still something that we want to do. Let's say I'll put it like this. And then I will put my activities here. But basically, and I'm going to Learn Engagement 4 at this time, these activities would also go here. So if I write an activity for the skill, I could actually copy paste my sentence if I want, and then I could put my explicit activity and implicit activity here, and then I could show how I'm willing to give feedback to my students with the formative assessment, and perhaps I will differentiate, perhaps I will give to weaker students at first like the major steps, and they have only to try to use a logical structure within the step instead of having to decide by themselves how to select steps. So we can perhaps go gradually, like from easier to harder, like tasks to more with more autonomy or less autonomy with time. So we want the students to be able to reach that, but perhaps at first we will have to put the major steps to the students, and that would be one way we can differentiate it. So you see that here in the learning process, everything that I've put so far is really linked to the IB, and that's the major things that you want to do. Even if it is not complete and it doesn't show the 20 or 25 hours of the unit, we start by putting everything that reflects the IB philosophy. Then you will be able to add on. Of course, if you send it to the IB, you will add to it. But if it is not really like showing how you apply the IB philosophy, perhaps you will summarize it, like put some boxes, but summarize the steps or combine steps. There's no need to put 20 pages if we cannot see how you apply the IB philosophy within your class. So this is actually is what it is. What shows how you apply the IB philosophy in class. In the learning engagement activity 3, is basically to think about differentiation and inclusion. So I will not explain anything else about that. You'll read. We have it is linked to differentiation now, and differentiation should be about one specific student or in general. What I would say, as always, is try to give choices to your students, or try to let the good students be able to do things on their own, while perhaps providing resources to weaker students. Perhaps is something that we should do often in mathematics. And then in learning engagement 4, which is the last one, we just want to complete that. But here in content, it could be the exponential function. So this is just stating like the mathematical content, the learning experience and teaching strategies. We've went over it in all the other columns. So this is what we will try to do in the last column. So at that point, you have pretty much done most of the unit plan. So you have completed the statement of inquiry and all the concepts here. The inquiry questions, which again, I will erase perhaps that, but eventually the summative assessment, what do I ask to the students, coming from module 3. And then here, the approach to learning that we've done, service as action is optional, is something that I've added because at my school. Here, the action section, which is really important actually. It can go on a few pages, but what I will remind you is that sometimes I see really long unit plan where I cannot see how the approaches to teaching are used, and this is pretty much meaningless, a lot of work. I don't just want to see how you teach mathematics, but how you apply it, apply the IB philosophy within it. And then you have, of course, the resources, which is pretty obvious actually, and then the reflection, which we will not do during this workshop. So I hope it clarifies a few things. I know it takes time. I'm sorry if I took too much time with my videos, but I wanted to make sure that you understood how to build the inquiry questions and to use it in the action section of the unit plan. I wanted to make sure that you want to develop the skills of the students and to give them feedback in order for them to be able to transfer these skills in their summative assessment task, and also to make sure that you understood what it should look like in the action section of the unit plan. Last thing, I am actually offering 3 meeting options because there's someone that asked me specifically to be there like tomorrow. Even for me it's at 4:15, and then I will also provide one last meeting option, so you just have to press it and click on it if you have any questions. And then the last thing that you have to do is in the conclusion, just do the final reflection. Try to think about something that you want to do going on after this workshop. I thank you very much. I know it's a lot of work, but I hope that it helped you understand the IB program. So thanks for being there with me, and we will have one last week together. Thank you.